All right, well, we're about to talk about the two most important letters that you will have in news writing, and they are A and P. And what they stand for is Associated Press, and we're going to talk about the Associated Press style and Associated Press style book and how you're going to use both of them in this class to begin with and then in your career moving forward. Now, Thomas Lippmann wrote this about a newspaper being part of a society's record of itself, and what that means is that, we have to follow certain standard rules for society to get the most out of the information that we're transmitting, for everyone to be on the same page of understanding. That means that we need rules related to grammar and punctuation, capitalization, spelling, all of these things, and we look for one single source to provide us with this framework from which we can build all of our written projects. What we call this is news writing style. So it's this idea of consistency across publications, across writers, and all of this is intended to help the audience consume the information that we produce. Now, there's actually quite a bit of different types of style in the world. I mean, you may have heard of some of it: Chicago style, MLA style. There's Chicago. The style of the New York Times is its own. The LA Times has its own style. But since the 1950s, the Associated Press has really been the stalwart of establishing style for news publications. It's really the industry standard. And if you understand and learn and utilize AP style, even though a publication that you write for may have a modified version of it, you really can't go wrong in using this as your foundation. So what is the style book? And you'll hear us talk about AP style book in general as opposed to just generally AP style, because this is really the handbook for all writers and editors and students, everybody. It's our Bible in terms of telling us how we should write everything from Al-Qaeda to abbreviating, titles. Where do we put titles? How do we use numerals? How do we write out dates and times and addresses? All of that is all stipulated in the style book. Now, style book is a little bit of a misnomer for us because there's actually three main ways that we can get this information. One is through an actual book that I'll show you, and you are welcome to order the hard copy of the book. Two, there's an app, which is the book in its entirety available on the iPad, which I advocate you looking into getting that one. It's really easy to navigate, and you're able to star things that you want to keep following up on. And then you can also go through the website. AP has a terrific website dedicated to style, and we have a link to it in the iTunes U course. So, really get a feel for which one works for you. We will be having AP style quizzes, and AP will be important to every article that you write. So, here's just an example of some of the things that we have to start thinking about. So as you notice, there's 5 different ways here that you can write 8 o'clock, and there's 5 different ways that you can write 5-year-old boy, and the question is which one is correct. AP style establishes which one of these we would do, and it matters so that we have a common understanding, no matter who we're writing for or where we're writing, that the information remains the same and we all understand what it means. Now, in this case, I'll give you that it's actually the third one down on the left, 8 a.m. A period, M period. That is the correct way to utilize AP style. We don't use the colon and minutes unless there are actually minutes there, and there's rules related to numbers that we're going to go through in the next slide deck, where we talk about how you always use a numeral for time. There's other times that you always use a numeral. There's other times that you always spell out numbers, under 10. So we're going to look and see what those rules are, and those are things you're going to need to memorize. Another example of a numeral rule is on the right side, and I can tell you that it's actually also the third one, the 5-year-old boy. And the reason is that ages are always numerals, and in this case, 5-year-old modifies the noun of being boy, and so we hyphenate it in order to create an adjective. But we'll go through a lot more of this in class, and we'll see more examples in the book. The key here is recognizing how desperately you need to utilize AP style. You need to read it, you need to learn it, and you need to live it. It's not really a negotiation. From your very first article, you will be responsible for AP style, and as you move forward, it'll become even more important to you. Editors rely on your knowledge and your use of AP style, your understanding of these, just some of these elements I've listed here: dates, numerals, money, percent, times, addresses, states, titles, names, abbreviations. All of these things you'll want to memorize because you'll be using them so often in your articles, but we will certainly go through them in great detail in class.